What's up, guys? Welcome to Chasing Projects. I'm Jeff, and this is your SoCal fishing forecast for Thursday, August 1st. Getting here in the summer. I want to touch base on a little something I saw today that was pretty alarming. There was a open hearing regarding 30 by 30 and some of the proposed MPAs, and this is on a Zoom call with Samantha Murray, who is the commissioner Department of Fish and Wildlife for the state of California. And I'll play the clip, but you can find it on allwaters.org on Instagram. They are fighting the good fight along with CCA California regarding this. But
I also, for me, I can't help but say fishing is a privilege. Fishing is a privilege. It's not a right.
It's a right in our Constitution. It is a right in the Constitution. It's a right in California.
So she's saying that fishing is a privilege, which she's 100% incorrect. California Constitution, Section 25, Article 1, it's very clear that you have the right to go fishing, and that basically the state of California cannot sell land or anything like that to impede your ability to go fishing. So you got to be on top of this stuff, guys. The people that are being put in charge of these departments are uneducated, not only on state constitution and your rights, but also are completely out of touch with California and I think most of the recreational hunters and fishermen in the state. So when you see these campaigns go out about writing letters or attend meetings or be active on social media and try and help get the word out. This is the reason why, is because essentially they're trying to shut the whole state down, whether it be fishing, hunting, whatever. And eventually what they're going to do is shut it down so no one can do anything, or B, turn it into a complete economy of just commercial fishing and hunting. And that'll be that. And that's kind of what's happened in Alaska, unfortunately, with fishing. The commercial side has gotten a little too far ahead of itself. But just a heads up, this is in your backyard, so please stay on top of this. Do whatever you can. You can definitely write a letter to Miss Samantha Murray at Department of Fish and Wildlife, State of California. There's all sorts of comments in here you can read through, but there's some links in there as well. But this is someone who was not voted in. She was appointed, so keep that in mind. This is not just a Democrat or Republican thing. This is a California thing, unfortunately. And we had some of these similar problems with a Republican governor as well. So it is what it is for the moment, but we got to keep fighting the good fight. And unless you start making your voice heard, it's just all going to go away. So want to get that out there. The next topic, let's talk some yellowtail. Another topic that's been hot on social media the last couple of days before we get into our forecast here. For those of you who don't know or are not familiar, but the California limit on yellowtail is 10 fish. Now, there's all sorts of people that have opinions on this, but the limit itself is actually 10 fish. 5 can be, sorry, this is tunas. 5 can be below 24 inches, and 5 can be over. And the reason for this is that yellowtail do not live very long. Their average life is 6 years. They're sexually mature at about 3 years, which is right about that 24 fork length limit size that they're referring to. That's when they're able to spawn. And they are a fast growing fish, not as fast as a Dorado, which also has a limit of 10 in California. But they don't have trouble spawning. Their regeneration or population year over year has been rather consistent, and actually their fork length here, this is year over year, relatively stable despite what year fishing was. So when we go back and we want to scratch the surface at yellowtail take limits, we are in an El Nino year, despite what some of you maybe forgot, although the tides are turning for this winter, but this is still an El Nino summer. And the last strong El Nino that we had was 2015, and we took 181,000 yellowtail. We've barely scratched the surface this year at 15,601. So maybe this might be delayed a little bit, but we are nowhere near these numbers. And you say, well, maybe it's slowly declining. If you back this out, we had just as good years in 2006. These things change with water temperature and over time. And really, the biggest source is bait fish. So you notice that this year, we've had a pretty good year for squid. And guess what? We've had some pretty good fishing at the islands. Not just, San Clemente Island. We've had some pretty good fishing at the Coronados the last couple weeks, which kind of brought this whole idea up that Yellowtail only lasts for a day and that you shouldn't keep, more than a couple, yada, yada, yada. Not good for freezing. Like any fish, if you only take what you're going to consume, which you should, have some conservation, okay? Take care of your meat, process it, bag it, package it, freeze it properly so it's going to last. There's no reason why you can't not take your legal daily bag limit any day of the week. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So don't let any bullies on the internet tell you otherwise. It's been a staple of our fishery. The populations are huge, and despite what some people say, most of the population actually resides in Mexico, where there is a tremendous amount of yellowtail, and they keep coming back and back every summer. And some here stay year-round, so don't get too hung up on it. But getting back to our forecast here, pretty steady weather for the most part over the next several days. Still have a little bit of marine layer coming through here. Windy. Before I get into our local model, let me zoom out here. But we're starting to hit the tropic season here. And we got this little guy spin off here down below Cabo, which isn't really much. And as I say, one breeds another. And then all of a sudden, next week we got this big daddy hanging out here. So it's probably going to generate a south-southeast swell and then a south swell. So we're in the 12-second range, I'd guess. 11, 12 seconds. We'll see where it goes. But it's got a pretty good westerly direction. So I don't know how much of it we're actually going to get aimed right at us. But that's out there. And that usually can disturb our local weather too. So we'll just kind of see how all that plays out. Remember last year, even in La Nina, we had the almost hurricane that came up here and fizzled out pretty quickly. So keep that in mind. Next several days, pretty light winds. We get a little bit of bump here into Sunday, 15, and then a little bit more. I saw 18 there earlier. But generally speaking, pretty steady eddy, and then really kind of mellows out through the remainder of next week. But all this is way too far away to be sure. Last week we were calling for a lot more wind and ended up being a little bit less, which is nice. So again, always check your latest marine forecast before you head out in the water. And that's what we are looking at right here. So 30 to out to 30 miles. You see you have a pretty consistent west swell at 5 seconds and then a long period south swell. This is just a summertime ground swell from far, far away. And then also 30 to 60 nautical miles, we're still getting northwest 3 foot at 5 seconds, which is going to make traveling west pretty bumpy for those of you in private boats. So keep that in mind. Again, south swell 14 seconds, non-factor whatsoever. We'll see what happens next week. That short period swell or shorter period swell probably won't be too much of an effect here, but we are currently on a new moon. So enjoy it while it comes through this week. And I almost forgot to put up the charts, didn't I? I sure did. Our latest one day is looking pretty good, actually. Surprisingly, it was looking a lot different earlier when half the chloro charts went missing. So nice to have the stuff up here, but 3 day, here's a 1 day, not so great. So we use the 3 day for the chlorophyll. But yeah, we got some green water along the coast here. I am not seeing or hearing about any red tide. There's a little bit of orange on here, but it doesn't look nasty. So I'm not too concerned about it. And yeah, I'm not concerned about it for the moment. 1 day, I think it goes away. So it's not even on the 1 day. So I wouldn't sweat it. Ocean temperatures. We talked about that wind. Look at that line. Right along the wind line. So you can see what happened here. These outer waters cooled off, which is a good thing, to be honest. I don't like seeing the Tanner at 72 degrees in July. I want to see that late August, September, October. That's when I want to see this stuff warm up. It's way too early to have fish going that far west. It's going to be expensive gas bills for everybody. So let's keep that in mind. But 72 degree waters, the orange. Bryce was seeing 74. The stuff along the coast has been turned over from some of that wind. So we got some coastal waters here that have taken a dip. As low as like the mid 60s sometimes. So keep an eye. We also have the California countercurrent down here. That's a little bit different factor than what we're talking about. But those waters do cool off naturally from the current. And chlorophyll, borophyll. All right, so we've had that nasty wind the last couple weeks, keeping a lot of people from looking at Channel Islands. Same with San Nick, and most people are skipping over Santa Barbara Island at the moment. We've had some pretty decent little signs of yellowtail the last few weeks here at Catalina. They're a little spooky. Good size. You might have to slim down to 15 or 12 to get a bite. So, but that's what happens at Catalina. Just a lot of boat traffic. They see a lot of action. They get mowed over a lot, so they get finicky. You got to really, really trick them into biting. But they are there, and you got a good chance of catching them. There's been squid at Weston pretty consistently for like the last month. I do not know if Carnage or anybody will be out there selling squid this week. They were there last weekend. But yeah. You can maybe make some of your own if you got a chance. Let's talk about San Clemente Island. We've had a really good run of yellowtail. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but yellowtail and sea bass has been on the squid hard. This bite's been going on specifically from like 3 a.m. to like 8 a.m. But really like that gray light sunrise bite, and then kind of pills out after that, onesie twosie throughout the day. That's kind of how it's been going the last week. I seen a couple friends out there, pretty good whack on them, really good son of fish, but all dropper loop on squid. And so I say having a steady bait supply is really what keeps a healthy yellowtail population, whether it be sardines or squid. So maybe a little less, sardine harvesting and squid harvesting. Maybe that will increase the numbers of yellowtail. Just saying. That's kind of what we had with the old days with the canneries in Long Beach. When they mopped all that bait up, game fish went away for a long time. So history will repeat itself. Moving forward down to the Coronados. It's been on fire. A lot of boats. 2 weeks running. Good signs of fish everywhere. And lights out. I mean, as good as it gets. Most in the 20, 25 pound range. You might find an occasional bigger one. But really, really excellent fishing for the Coronados. It's what it should be this time of year, to be honest. It's kind of been a rough couple of years down there. 3 years of La Nina just kind of turned it off for a while. But yeah, the last 2 weeks have been absolutely excellent. Make sure you have your documentation. I'm sure they will be down there enforcing when things get busy. So make sure you have your tip permit on your boat. Make sure you have your FMM visa saying that you're allowed to be there for the day and that you paid for it for every single passenger on your boat. Obviously, your Mexican fishing license, and then your biosphere bracelet. Make sure you have all of those items if you're fishing on a private boat. If you do not have those 4 items, do not go there. They can confiscate your boat. So don't do that. Don't ruin it for the rest of us. Make sure you do the right thing. There's links on our website, chasingpelagics.com, under the travel section for Mexico of what you need, and it's broken down with the links to every site. Don't be alarmed. The prices are in pesos, so it's like 22 times what the actual amount is. Very, very reasonable. Do your stuff online. Get it set up ahead of time. No problemas. All right? Let's talk about offshore fishing. Another wild one. So we had fish that were hanging out here way west, and then the wind blew. And that wind has pushed the water temps down dramatically and made those fish slide east, which is great. I really, really appreciate that wind. So, although it can be a nuisance, like I said, it's going to help keep that gas bill a little bit better than the usual days. So, they've been lined up here. They're as far west of the 7-Eleven and then almost under Nick, way out here in this basin. And then I always tell you to make sure you check both sides of this ridge because they can be on either side. And now that wind got blowing, water temps dropped, and they slid east. Today they're really above the 499. I'd be checking every edge of this basin the whole way. They could be anywhere in here, in between. There's a lot of volume, fish 20 to 200 pounds. So do your thing. Daytime, I'm fishing 30-pound plus fluorocarbon fly line. If you get broke off, then obviously slide up. If you know what kind of grade of fish you're working with, then obviously work with something bigger. But they've been foaming up pretty good here, so make sure you got some poppers, stick baits, something for the surface, a couple jigs, kite, spreader bars. Now for the wild card, there was a rumor of albacore caught there today also. So I'm prepared for an absolute dumpster fire of boats on Saturday out in this zone. So the best advice I can give you, just like Coronados, find a little piece of water to yourself. If you see a big fleet in the middle, find an edge. You know how bluefin are when they get ran over. They go everywhere but where the boats are. So don't feel like you got to fish in a pack of boats. Spread out. There's a lot of water here. Do your thing. Use your binoculars. Look for that surface signal. That's what I'd be doing. So still some kelp patty action down here as well. Down here in the Mexican waters. We had this warmer water here, guys. So, I mean, you're going to get a chance at some yellowfin, some dorado. Bring this thing back. Come on. Back to 3-day. So, yeah, 72-degree water here. There's no reason why you can't run into some yellowfin in here. They've been spotted up tight along the coast on the edge of that green water. Wouldn't be surprised if we found them. But, again, this stuff inside here, it just never seems to stop for more than a day or two. So if you got the conditions, you see the birds hanging out, maybe give it a little bit of time. But I am not, me personally, if I'm going to go looking for something, I'm looking for volume. So seeing the stuff in here, yeah. If all I have is a skiff, yeah, I'll spend some time messing around with the stuff. 14-mile bank, 279, all the way down here. If I'm fishing out of Dana, maybe come up here to the edge. Look at Avalon Bank. Yeah, I'm doing all that stuff. But if you got some fuel economy and you got some fuel, and you can handle some west swell at 3 feet at 5 seconds, then I'm boogieing to where the volume is, and that volume has been out in this area for bluefin. So am I going to be checking the slide for marlin or anything else and maybe something on the way home? Absolutely. But I'm sticking to my game plan, and whatever your game plan is, you should make sure you're ready for it and stick to your game plan. And then when you're done with that, and you see something on the way home that looks interesting, stop and check it out. But I'm not going to wait around all day for chase whack-a-mole, small piles of fish out here close to shore. Just not my bread and butter. Your chances of hitting those fish are significantly lower, and that's why you have sport boats making 115, 120 mile runs from San Diego up to the zone, because there's just volume, and that's all it is. And I'm sure you're going to see a run of yellowfin down here eventually again, mixing with some dorado once this water temps heat up over the next couple of days again, and they'll be coming a lot closer. Especially, the overnight boats. This is a long ways to go for an overnight fishing expedition. So it is what it is. But that's it for this week, guys. Have fun out there. Be safe. Harvest your fish properly. Maybe practice some conservation. And, we'll see you next week, guys. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out our website and online store at chasingprojects.com. And make sure you share the stoke.